My name is Megan Moore. I work at University Branch Library, and I'm going to show you how to make blackout poetry. Forms of blackout poetry can be traced back hundreds of years. Blackout poetry is created by using an existing page of text, selecting the words you want to keep, and then blacking out the words you don't want to use to create your poem. It is also known as erasure poetry or redacted poetry. It's usually made with a page from a book, newspaper, or magazine. Just make sure you're using something that you don't plan on reading again. The only supplies you will need are a page of text, a pencil, and at least one marker. As you see here, I'm working on a project where I'm taking an entire book and making a blackout poem on every page. Feeling ambitious, you can try it too. I happen to have 2 copies of the same book, so that's what I'm using. It's a good idea to place something underneath the page you're working on so the markers don't bleed through. I begin my process with a pencil, underlining words that I think I might want to use. I don't move on to pens and markers until I know what words I'm definitely keeping for my poem. Once I have my poem underlined in pencil, I draw boxes around the words. Slowly I move from pencil to ultra fine tip marker to fine tip marker and then to chisel tip. I do this because if you go straight to a thicker tipped marker, you may accidentally mark out a word or letter that you want to use in your poem. I've learned this from my past mistakes. It's pretty sad when you've got your poem finished and then you mess it all up by not being careful with your markers. If you can't find the exact words that would complete your poem, take letters from several words to create the word that you need. Because you only have what is on the page to work with, you will find yourself getting creative with the English language. Don't worry if things don't make total sense. It's free verse poetry, so there are no rules. My favorite thing about blackout poetry is that you never know what poem is going to jump off the pages at you. It's fun to photocopy a page and then see all the different poems that a group of people can make starting with the same words. The words people choose and the poems they end up creating can be vastly different and may tell you something about that person. Notice here how I've created the words being, wild, and free. I use the white space between the words and lines to link parts of one word together. This is common practice in creating blackout poetry. My favorite part of blackout poetry is using the chisel tip marker. It's really satisfying to black out whatever parts of the page you're not using. Some people like to take the ink all the way to the edges of the page, but I prefer the messier scribbled edges for my poem. It's just a matter of personal preference. Part of why I don't like to black out the entire page for my poems is that I like to keep the page numbers because I'm filling an entire book. But again, that's just me. I am not a very artistic person, so my blackout poems tend to all look very minimal, but you can get creative and draw things in the margins or create beautiful images out of your blackout marks. If you search the internet for artistic blackout poems, you'll find some amazing works out there. You'll see my attempt to add some art to one of my poems at the end of this video. I hope you enjoy making blackout poems, and feel free to share your poems with us in the comments, and thanks for watching.